Um, Amani is the singer. She's a performing artist. Cecilia, Warimo, actually it's Cicely. Well, she's a happy-go-lucky person, a bit secretive, and yeah, that's basically in a nutshell. What else is she? She loves music, obviously. Plenty of passions, and yeah, and family. Yeah.
Okay, and talking of family, how's your relationship with your mom?
Fantastic. We're a small family. We're just three of us, and that's three kids and mom and dad. So I always say we're too few to have squabbles amongst us. So, it can't last. You need to talk. I have one brother, I have one sister. At the end of the day, I need to talk to one of them. So, yeah, it's a closely knit family. And yeah, I thank God for them.
Who is the bully in the family?
Who is the bully in the family? I think they tend to think it's me. But I think it's my sister. My sister is the bully in the family. It's not really me, because she's got a silent, bold character. I kind of waver. I'll be like, no, let's not do that. Tomorrow I'll be like, okay, fine, I've thought about it. Let's do it. But my sister, if she says no, it's no, and it will forever be no. So if she says we're meeting somewhere, she's not going to change her destination. Yeah, so I think she's a bully.
And your brother? The protective one?
My brother's protective because he has two sisters, so he's protective of us. And at the same time, he's the only boy, so he kind of feels like the boss. But I have to remind him I'm the first one. Yeah, so I'm the boss.
Okay.
Yeah.
So getting to the family realm and just your mom discovering you. How was that moment? And how did she even know?
I remember I was at the back of the house and I was singing, and she was in the kitchen and she kept screaming, turn the radio down, turn the radio down. So I ran to the kitchen and I told her, Mom, the radio's not on, it's me. And she was like, oh, you sing? And I was like, yes. And she's like, sing more. So I sang for her, and she's like, wow, you sing. So from then on, if it's someone's birthday, she'd be like, sing happy birthday for them. So she became like my promoter. Then she'd be like, if there's a church Christmas carol concert, she'd be like, make sure you're in the Christmas carol, make sure you sing. So she pushed me. Yeah.
Okay. Which church does she pastor in?
My mom is a marriage counselor pastor with Winners Chapel. She also has a fellowship called Women of Grace, which is also focused on marriage counseling and marriages. Yes.
Okay. So when you started singing, did you start gospel and then transition to?
I started in gospel and transitioned into secular. And I remember it was kind of tricky for me because I'd spent most of my life writing gospel music, singing gospel music in church and everything. I sort of feel like my melodies haven't really changed, because once you've been singing those kind of melodies, no matter what you do, you really never quite get to the really secular side of things. So it was tricky for me to write initially, but I got the hang of it at some point. Yeah.
Okay, so were you saved before?
Yes, I was born again, living in church, yeah. I am born again today.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
Clarification. Yes, I am. I am born again. I love Jesus as the love of my life. Yes.
Okay. And how's your relationship with your dad as the firstborn daughter?
It's good. I'm daddy's girl. Yes, I'll always call on my dad, check on how he's doing. He runs a restaurant, so I'll have dates with my dad, sit down, have food. He knows my favorite food, so yeah, I'm daddy's girl.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I'm really tempted to ask this, like...
It's alright. When it's off limits, I'll tell you off limits.
Like when you came and told her you're getting married, how did he feel?
Off limits.
But I was really tempted. Anyway, so getting into the school, you're in USIU, and you've already known that you want to be a singer. How was that journey, just starting?
I remember I wanted to do gospel, so I kind of hid it from my mom, like when I shifted and I was doing secular. But for the first song I actually released was gospel. So she listened to it and she was like, oh, it's gospel, that's fine. So the second one was a tough one. And she listened to it and she's like, what's this you're singing? And I'm like, well, I decided. And she was like, I am not for it. but since you've chosen to do it, it's up to you. So, you know, she's a parent. She'll tell me what to do, what not to do, because that's her role as my mother. At the same time, my mom can't carry my salvation for me. So even then, you know, she's like, I think you shouldn't, but because you want to, why don't you go ahead and do it? And I think it was tough for her, especially being a pastor and preaching. You know, most people will be like, that's Amani's mom, and to be like, hey, Amani's mom, yeah. And maybe they're thinking about the video they saw, you know, before, or they'll be thinking about, hang on, there's a concert I saw this chick at, and you know, she had a pretty short dress. So yeah, so I think it probably was tough for her, but you know, yeah, at the end of the day, like I said, she can't be born again for me. It has to be my personal decision. Yeah.
Okay, so just being in the whole music industry, and here you are as a pastor's kid. How did you handle that, and what was the people's expectations?
My mom had a tough time. Like I said, she has a women's fellowship, so there are a lot of questions around it. But like I said, she's taught me the right thing. She's brought me up in church. I was above 18, and I've chosen this path that, you know, she doesn't quite approve of. And I believe it was tough for her. Maybe she should have to talk and go like, oh, you know, this and this happened. But I think it was tough for her. Yeah.
Okay. And for you, just being in the society, just trying to, you know, like just focus and not listen to what people are saying. What were people saying, really?
I think I've never really been one to sort of incline on what people are saying and everything. That's why I say I believe stuff was said. There was stuff that was said. It didn't become very obvious to me until much later in my career. So when I started, I think maybe most people thought maybe it's a passing phase. When she finishes campus, she'll get a job and she'll get over it. But when they actually saw that it's my profession now and I'm taking it seriously and I'm doing it full time, that is when, that is when the talk came in. But before then, there wasn't really anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you, as much as the talk was there, how did you manage to just like let it not come in between you and your dreams? How did you manage?
Just staying focused. Yeah, it was very important for me to stay focused. Very, very important. Yeah.
Okay, and how did you balance the school and the music?
It happened. we're just going. It was a bit tricky because I remember on my graduation day, I graduated, I had my gown, I took pictures, and I was like, okay, my mom was like, so are we going for lunch? What do you want to do? And everything. She was excited. My dad is excited. I remember my grandma, she's passed on now, but she was there and like, okay, so what's the plan? What are we doing? And I'm like, I have sound check in 45 minutes. And I could see the look on their face like, what? And I'm like, I have to go for sound check. And I don't think they were happy about my whole sound check situation. But, you know, I had to go for sound check. So I apologized and I said I'll make up for it the next day. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't think, I think that's when it hit them like, hey, she's actually serious. So yeah, so that was on my graduation day. So the balance was a bit tricky, but I remember my mom and my dad sitting me down and they said, if your grades go below a certain level, no more music. So regardless of what I was doing, I could come from shows, maybe up country, I'm maybe going to do a gig in Kisii and I have an exam the next day. I have to sacrifice sleep, I had to sacrifice social life because there was a condition. If your grades go down, no more music. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So when it comes to the stereotypes of pastors' kids, what are some of them, and how did you like just try and make people know, but whatever you're saying or whatever you're thinking, that's not me?
You can't really control what people think of you, and you can't really control their opinions of you, because people form opinions based on their personal experiences and their perceptions. So if you come from a background where you perceive a pastor's daughter to behave in a certain way, regardless of what that person does sometimes or what they say, you've already formed your opinion, you've already formed your judgment and everything. And For me, it was more of, I'm an individual. My mom, yes, is born again. She's a pastor. But like I said, she can't be born again for me. That is my personal decision. My relationship with God is my relationship with God. She can steer me towards the right direction. She can direct me towards what she feels is the right direction. She can pray for me. But the decision is mine. So I think it's important that, individuals are treated as individuals, and, in the fullness of time, it comes together. Yes, I did get born again later, so, her prayers did not go to waste. But, but it's important to understand that, that's an individual, and it's not like I was robbing a bank or anything like that. So, yeah.
Okay. Did people consider you like a rebel?
Yeah, pastors' kids are considered as rebels. I don't think it's being a rebel. It's just like I said, there's an expectation of you in the society. And if you don't meet that expectations, then the judgment and the opinions come. Yeah.
Okay. So the whole journey, just starting your music and releasing your first album.
Yeah.
Let's talk about now that moment when you first released the first album. How was that moment and how did you feel?
It was great. I was happy, proud of myself. I was excited. And yeah, I was like, wow, I actually did this. Yes, I was excited. I was actually watching my dreams unfold right before my eyes. And I tried as much as possible to enjoy every moment. Yeah.
And just been in the career for more than 10 years now?
Oh, very many years. The idea was not to be there for that long, but yes, end up being close to 12 years. Yeah, past a decade. Yeah.
Okay. How has it been? What are the challenges that women are facing in the industry?
I'm not born again, so I'm not actively doing secular music, and I think the challenges that people face in the industry is, as a woman, you just have to work twice as hard. I know, people will be like, oh, equality, I don't know, but it's true. Primarily because your audience is female. It's easy for a man to impress a woman. But for a woman, you have to work twice as hard. Why am I listening to her? Is the first question that goes through a woman's head. Okay, fine, her songs are nice, but do I like how she dresses? Do I like her face? A lot of factors come into play. Where else, if it's for a guy, you'd be like, his music is hot, I like Nini, he looks okay. Even what you consider as okay can pass. But for a woman, it's much more. You're impressing women. The entertainment industry is primarily women. Sports is men. But you're in the entertainment industry and your audience is women. So you work twice as hard. Yeah.
Okay. So being born again later, is it what has influenced you to go family, want to settle down, marriage and all?
Yeah, I think it has to some extent. Yes.
Yes, say the fact that you're married again, it has influenced, to go that route.
Family has become my priority now. Yes.
Okay, that's okay. I wouldn't say dear baby. Let me just see what is off limits.
I want to keep some aspects of my life private. Yeah. Everything was in the limelight for so long. Let me have one thing to myself, just one thing.
Okay.
We can share lessons.
Yeah?
Lessons about marriage.
I'll talk about relationships in general. Yes.
Yes. You can cut around it.
The ones that I'm doing like this, I'm just smiling.
At the right time, you'll ask questions. Don't worry.
Keep time.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get to your mom. What are some of the achievements that she's had all along as a pastor, and of course the support that she has given you throughout the music
Um,
music, yeah.
as a mom, of course, even if your child is not doing what you told them not to do, yeah, as long as they're not ending up in jail, they'll support you. They'll be like, fine, so we're here and everything. But one thing I have to commend her for is she still preached to me. I think my mom, at the end of the day, her heart is a heart of a pastor, as in that's just who she is. So, it doesn't matter what it was, she'll still do it. You'll be like, oh yeah, the concert was fantastic, it was great, this and this and that. And she's like, oh, that's good, I'm glad you enjoyed it, I'm glad you're living your dreams. Then she's like, but I can't wait for you to sing gospel though. So she'll slide it in there. It's her heart, it's where her heart is, and that's who she is. So it's her ministry, she enjoys it, she loves it. And even as her children, we've sort of come to accept that that's where her heart is. Yeah.
Okay. So would you say she has supported you all through, no matter whether you...
As her child, as my chosen career, she's like, you've chosen to do this. So as your mother, I support you. But I do not support the kingdom that you're advocating for. Just so you know that, for me, God comes first, and I would prefer if you sing gospel. So she's very clear on what her side is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk relationships. Talk what you want.
Talk what I want. What? Relationships are fantastic. Full stop. Yeah.
Yeah, what can I say? Well, in general, I don't want to get personal with you. I don't want.
I think it's best if you ask. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what are some of the challenges that women have when it comes to relationships in the music?
In the music industry, I think, like I said, there are a lot of perceptions, judgmental perspectives and everything. Understandably, because you're in the limelight, you're living in the limelight, you're this girl that's performing at clubs every other day. Of course, if you're a secular musician. But I also think to some extent also, if you're doing gospel, the fact that you're still in the limelight, you just need to be with a confident person. Somebody who will not think, okay, she's out for a concert, people are looking at her, so who's looking at her, who's texting her, and everything. You just need to be with a confident person, a person who understands it's your work, but it's not necessarily your life. Yeah. So that's very, very important. So you find that sometimes for women, it can get a bit tricky. For the man, it's nice. It's an ego. I'm the artist, Nimenda show. But for the woman, it's okay, fine. You've gone for the show. Anybody texting you, you've gone for a show abroad. Who's the promoter? If as a man, you are not comfortable with your woman taking the spotlight, don't date an artist. Because they will take the spotlight. Whether they're in gospel or they're in secular music, spotlight will be on them. Yeah.
And can you say this fact that most people have this stereotype, like with women, if you reach a certain age, like your limelight goes down or something like that?
I don't think so. Just like an athlete, you have your prime time. That's what I believe. This is particularly for secular music. I'm going to talk particularly for secular music. It's like being an athlete. You can't expect Bolt to keep going to the track past a certain age. That's unrealistic. And I think the same applies for music. So you have your prime time, you enjoy it, make your money, make investments, and transition to something else. That's what I believe is the right way to go about it. The beauty of gospel is that, you're working for the Lord and you're on His time. So you do it as long as God wants you to do it. So that's different.
Okay. Are you going to go back to gospel?
I'm not sure that I'm going to. Hopefully, yes, I will at some point. But I can't give timelines. I can't tell you when. Yeah, but I will definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did you think of now, just transitioning now from, I really don't know what to, let me find the right
Just be
word.
straightforward. Yeah.
Like, as much as you're in the secular music and all these things were happening, the relationships, the relationship with AY and all that.
Yeah.
How did you manage to just transition from that to your new, your husband, Ude Ali?
I can't talk about that.
Okay, tell us something small about him.
Him. Yeah, he's my friend. He's my buddy. He's he's a lot of things. He's my support system. Like I said, he's my best friend. He's my lover. Yeah, it's good to have somebody in your life who actually deeply cares about you and everything that you do every day. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
You're getting emotional?
No. Not the emotional types, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I really want you to give us your opinion. Compare, contrast the weddings here and weddings in Nigeria.
It's hard for me to do that. Yeah.
What don't you like about Kenyan weddings?
What don't I like? Surprisingly, I haven't been to very many weddings. Most of my life was spent on stage performing, and weddings happen on Saturday. So have I been to many weddings? No. Can I make an informed perspective? Not really. I'll be honest. I've not been to many weddings. I can count with one hand how many weddings I've been to. And that's because a Saturday is coming, I'm somewhere, I'm performing. So I missed out on a lot, especially, my friends' weddings. So those I could, once I'm sent the save the date, I'm like, okay, fine, I'm not taking a show on this particular date. And I'd say those are the weddings I ended up going to. And of course, family. So I haven't been to many. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I know, but do you like the Mugithi? What do you like?
About Kenyan weddings,
Yeah.
what do I like? What? I like the music that I like. I like the integration of culture. But I think for me it's about the music and the dancing. I like when the women go to pick up the girl and they're dancing and everything. I think that's normally a very special moment. Yeah.
Okay, at least that one. Thank you. Okay, so what are you up to now?
I'm currently running my hair extension company. We particularly focus on crochet hair. Our focus is on growing healthy hair and having healthy hair as you enjoy, extensions and everything. Yes, so I run a crochet braid company, and yeah, our focus is on healthy, beautiful hair as much as we advocate for extensions. Crochet is good for you because it doesn't exactly exert that much pressure on your hair during the braiding process, and then you're able to enjoy your extensions. And yeah, we know the ladies love extensions once in a while. Yes, you do love your hair, but once in a while you want to give it a break, and we focus mainly on protective styling using crochet braids.
Okay, so
Yeah.
being that we are all brides, we deal with mostly brides, what can you tell them in terms of their hair on that big day?
Accentuate your hair. I'm an advocate for accentuating your hair. With the crochet braid company that I run, Diva Luxury, we focus on textured extensions. African natural hair is textured, and you want to wear, even if you're wearing like a 4-bun or an updo style, you want something where the texture is looking even and neat. And I always say accentuate what you have. Whatever it is that you have, whatever look it is that you're going for, accentuate your features, accentuate your hair. That's how it ends up looking. You want to look regal, but then simple and natural on your wedding. So I always say accentuate your hair. Yeah, and I love the texture of African hair because it's textured. It's got a bit of curl going on, sometimes coils and everything. So just sort of complement it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you going to come to our expo?
I'd love to. The girls last year, I remember there were several brides of yours who were wearing our extensions for their updos and everything. So yeah, I'd love to. Yeah.
Okay. So
Yes.
anything you'd like to add?
Unless you want to ask.
Anything? How was the recording with Arkil?
Amazing. Yes, amazing. I was just pinching myself most of the time, like, is this real? Is this happening? That was an amazing experience. Yeah. I had a good time doing music. I had a good time being a musician. It was amazing. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, you said that you can speak about marriage and stuff, yeah?
Yes.
So, what lessons so far have you learned about
Relationships.
relationships? And
I can talk about relationships.
what have you learned?
what lessons have I learned about relationships? I'll speak from my perspective and my knowledge, and of course, based on the industry, the music industry and everything. My lesson is, if you're in a serious relationship, and I'm referencing marriage, engagement and stuff like that, something that's concrete, you need to put God at the center of it. Because as human beings, we are flawed in so many ways. And when you come together, initially, you're attracted, it's more of, oh my God, you think this person is like the most amazing person, and they think you're the most amazing person ever. And then you realize that as a human being, they're flawed. And at that point is when you need God, you need Jesus. Because then without Jesus, you'll start thinking, no, this is not what I signed up for and everything. You need Jesus. So I always say, if you're in a serious situation, you need God in that situation. You need Jesus in that situation. That is the glue that will hold you together. That is the glue that will keep you going. I enjoyed being in church. I used to sing. I used to dance. I actually enjoyed church. It's all I knew. That was my life. So Friday comes, you're off for Kesha. It was my life. So, of course, when I started being exposed to other things, I'm like, okay, But it's all I knew. It's what I experienced as a pastor's daughter. Of course, you get a little bit sheltered because that's all you know. Yeah. And I appreciated it. I loved it. Now I appreciate it even more because there are so many things that, my mom taught me and instilled in me to an extent that even if I was in the secular world, there were limits. I always say, as parents, yes, be assertive in your children's life, because that moment when they're about to do something very silly, you are their voice of reason. So I had so many situations where I would have just done very silly things. But I could hear my mom's voice, like, if you do that, and some of them were ridiculous, like, if you do that, you're going to die. And that's the voice that you hear, your voice of reason at that point when you're making that decision. Do I jump? Do I not jump? Oh, you will hear your mother's voice. So that I think was one of the things that remained constant as a pastor's child, is I could hear my mom's voice left, right, and center. And for her, I remember this once. There was this scripture she had put on the walls of our bedroom. And she'd be like, have you memorized that? And I'd be like, yes. And you recite it and you recite it. Today, I recite that verse from top to finish. To the last one. Because Shizano made me recite it. Then it had no meaning. It was more like, okay, we are reciting it. But later on in life, like I said, your voice of reason, when you're a grown-up, and you're just about to do something, maybe you're at a crossroad, you don't know, what I'm going to do. That's maybe a serious situation. You're trying to make a decision. Or somebody has literally offered you drugs. They're like, Izal, do you want to sniff? Your voice of reason at that point in time is your parent. So it is important as a parent to instill the values that you see, that you want to them. It's so important. Speak to them, talk to them, tell them, do not do this. I appreciate if you do this. It is anchored on this. It's so important that you do that. Because at that point in time, it's your voice though. Your voice will be the other voice on this side, and there'll be this other voice of, just sniff kwani, and your mother's voice will be there. If you do, you're going to die. So that voice needs to be there. Yeah.
Okay. Which verse is this that she had painted on your wall?
She didn't paint it. She just had she had printed it. And before she beats you and maybe you're being disobedient, most of the times it was mostly being disobedient. So she's like, so what did I tell you? I'm like, children, it's your Christian duty to obey your parents. So you recite it. And she's like, yes, obey. When I tell you not to do something, don't do it. But much later on, I took time and I'm like, okay, mom stopped here. And I read the rest of the verse. And I've come to appreciate it. I've meditated on it. And there's a lot more to that verse than, children, it's your Christian duty to obey your parents. But she did good. She did good because at the moments of disobedience, when she was not there to spank me, it was her voice that stopped me from it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Any more?
So what can you advise like other pastors who are like who have their own children and they're like they have to shelter their kids and all that stuff. So what can you advise them much as sheltering your children and just grounding them?
I think when it comes to parenting, my perspective is very different in the sense that we are all individuals with different characters. And as a parent is parenting their child, they're learning their character. They know you so well. They're learning your habits, your likes. This is from birth. So by the time you're a 10-year-old, your mother probably knows you much better than you know yourself. And because of that, like I said, because of them being the voice of reason, do the right thing by your child. It is so important. Like I said, fine, I decided to do music. I was in the secular world. But even if I'm painting a scenario, somebody told me, you know what, that gate over there goes to hell. Let's go see whether it really goes to hell. Let's go open it and see whether it goes to hell. The voice of reason for me at that point in time, yes, I am a grown-up, I'm a full-grown human being, was my mom. You know, I'll remember like, hey, but mom said I shouldn't do this. And I'll hesitate and I'll step back. So for anybody who, you know, is a parent and everything, do right by your child. Yeah. The verses she made me recite are still in my head. You know, even in those moments when I thought, oh, maybe God doesn't love me, you know, she's there. She's like, God's love for you is unconditional. Don't forget that, you know. So, yeah, so she could, you know, she'd be like, congratulations on your award. Fantastic. You're doing well. And she's like, can you imagine if you're doing it for Christ, how much more it would be? So there's always that thing. And eventually I did see her point. So do right by your child.